I wanted to begin, I'm Chris Durant, and I wanted to begin by talking about little anecdotes about myself so you could all sort of feel like you knew me, but I don't have time for that, which is why you should go to my Facebook page, which has a link to my YouTube video called Chris Durant, Crazy Loner or Social Weirdo. And there I tell anecdotes completely unrelated to the SAC. I don't say SAC president once, and it's just sort of good to get to know me from. But what you do need to know about me, these are the key details. I was the co-editor of the Argosy last year, meaning I spent a lot of time following the SAC issues and interviewing people from the administration and following the administration. Therefore, I'm very well versed on all of those issues. Also, I was the NDP candidate last election, and I bring that up just to mention that I debated Dominic LeBlanc, our 5-time Liberal MP here. And, I faced him face to face and debated him issues like EI and things he talks about all day in Parliament, but I had less knowledge of. But, I didn't have a problem staring him down, so I don't think the administration is going to be quite so difficult. And finally, I do have SAC experience. In third year, I was the social science senator in the SAC. And, so that on top of all the coverage of the Argosy last year, I'm very SAC experienced. I've been around the SAC so much I'm not embarrassed saying SAC anymore. But what is my vision for the SAC? Well, too long it's been a completely apolitical body. It's been selfish in that it's only advocated for students' needs. And I think that's great, it's its main function, but it needs to be engaged in sort of larger issues. What I'm thinking in terms of is ethical investment. The idea that we here at the school profit from our very large endowment. But that endowment is invested in things. Almost every share on every company on the TSX we're invested in. This includes companies like Goldcorp, a Canadian gold mining company that operates in Honduras, that lets arsenic from the leaching process seep into the groundwater, then gets into the drinking water of the local indigenous people, and so they get effectively poisoned. Their hair falls out, they get large rashes, they have miscarriages. We're also invested in Barrick Gold, another Canadian gold mining company that the Norwegian government refuses to invest in because they did an investigation and found that in Papua New Guinea that Barrick had poisoned people and the environment and was unlikely to stop in the future. We try to influence these companies by divesting in them, but to do that our school needs an ethical investment policy. I've talked with the administration and they say, well, you think these gold mining companies are bad and we think tobacco is bad, but we can't impose our views on this money that belongs to everyone. Well, I want to get elected SAC president, have run on this issue, won on this issue, and be able to say, okay, look, now I speak for the students, let's get something started. And it's going to be a long process. I'm not going to see the end of it, and it's not going to just involve the SAC. It's going to take a large amount of groundswell of support from the students, because it's complicated and it's difficult, and the administration will have to know that we're serious if they're really going to investigate how to change. This does not mean, however, that I don't believe the SAC should be providing student services. One huge issue I have, career counseling. We don't have a career counselor at the school. We're the only school our size in the Maritimes to not have one. It ranked, I think, pretty much the highest thing on the SAC survey last year. How do I plan about going to get one? Because, the SAC did try the administration on the subject last year. Well, we have to be creative. Last year at the Argosy, we did stories on the pub when it was losing money because it didn't have a dance floor. What in turn happened was that the Board of Regents read the Argosy and then got on the administration's back about the issue. We can do the same thing with career counseling. If the SAC were to invite a career counselor from St. FX to come in for a night, give a talk about how to plan your career, what might the Argosy possibly put as the headline? Maybe something along the lines of SAC turns to St. FX for career counseling help. Well, that would get the Board of Regents in pretty quickly. So I think we just have to be creative, and that these ideas come out of my experience from having seen these SAC both ways. Also, I'm concerned about residents' life. You know, people triples and doubles, triples and lounges. If that situation is hurting people academically, that's unacceptable. It might not be hurting them, but we need to put in the effort to find out. Because when you're in first year, they need to get academically on their feet. They need to find out what skills their high schools gave them and which ones it didn't. And if they're not doing well because of their rooming situation, then the schools failed them and we're failing them if we don't advocate for them. Last point, the Green Fund, we pay our $10. The SAC has to invest it in a carbon reducing strategy. I think that's great. The school's proposed a satellite dish solar panel that would generate electricity. That's great. The school's not proposed giving us any of the money back from it, any of the money they will save on electricity. We need to say that it's unacceptable, that this is an investment students are making, not a handout, and that we will not accept any offers from anyone where we do not get revenue back. Thank you very much.